Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Let me just tilt this down a little bit. This is episode 119.
9.
Oh, yes. And this episode is sponsored by the Confidence Accelerator from Muslim Mastery. Now, I didn't explain last time, but if we just go to the link that we have for you guys, if you're interested in building your confidence, building your communication skills, and therefore building your impact, then this is for you. And if you go to the link, it's not just like a link to go buy something. It's actually some free training for you. The training is called How to Feel Confident and Speak with Impact in Any Situation, even if you're filled with fear, anxiety, and doubts. So if that sounds like interesting to you at all, then you just go check out the free training. The free training will give you an idea of what Muhammad is all about, what he's going to help you with, and then is he like any good at what he does or not. So go check that out if you're interested. The link will be below the video or they're in the description, etc. of the podcast. Now, Muhammad, I have here with me a piece of toast with peanut butter on it.
Ooh.
Okay, sugarless, I might say. I might add. Yes? Uh-huh. I'm just going to finish it. Please entertain the listeners, bro.
Okay, I'm ready, bro. Let me just stretch. Oh, goodness gracious, my oh my. So, I had surgery not too long ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. And I forgot to mention this last episode. But I'm not going to go into the surgery. What I am going to go into, though, is the power of local anesthesia.
Okay.
Now, what made me think was like, okay, I'd never been under like some local anesthetic, and
so back to addiction, yeah.
Yeah, well, the surgery is predominantly on my upper body, right? And I wasn't really too familiar with how it was going to feel, etc. Anyway, and I realised I haven't really gone through like pain in a long time.
Okay.
There's some people with, like substantial, like excruciating pain. Obviously we pull a muscle here, we cut ourselves there, etc., etc. And then I thought, you know what, some people go through really severe sort of pains through their lives, and we take our health for granted. Either way, I was on the operating table. I got all this anesthesia injected in me and stuff. The injections themselves were quite painful, not like a normal sort of vaccination or a BCG or whatever you want to call it. And then during the operation, I think that the anesthetic hadn't maybe reached all areas, and because of that, I started feeling pain in some places, bro. So like, especially like right towards the edges where like imagine if it was injected here, in the middle of my hand, then like towards the end where they're working, I started feeling pain, and it was so excruciating that I remember thinking, subhanallah, I was thinking at this moment, I just want this to stop. Like, I can't be bothered. Like, I don't really want to go ahead anymore.
Oh wow!
But at the same time, it made me think, unfortunately, about the plight of Muslims around the world. It made me think of like people who've been tortured, people who are being, and they can't just walk away from that situation, And honestly, on that operating table, so to speak, I started just thinking like, wow, imagine how Muslims are tested with their faith and tested in these sort of circumstances for years and years and years. And I felt really kind of not disappointed in myself, but like it was just like a bit of a reality check that how easy we have it. And I know we keep going back into this sort of topic again and again, but I just wanted to mention it because in that moment I realized, you know what, I live quite a comfortable life, alhamdulillah, compared to a lot of people in the world. And you can't ignore that, and you can't sort of dismiss that, and you always have to have gratitude for that fact. But bro, something as simple as living life without pain is something we take for granted all the time.
Yeah, a lot of torture being dished out these days. Wallahu musta'an. And
that's just the ones that we know, bro, isn't it?
Yeah. I had an Akhitweet moment. That's literally what I called it. I thought of you.
Yeah.
Because for about 2 days, I lost hearing in my left ear. I didn't lose hearing, actually. My ear just got blocked. So as a consequence, I couldn't really hear in that ear. Yeah. And it was kind of you know, it was driving me nuts because it was quite, what's the word? Distracting, and I couldn't concentrate, and it seemed to make me like get headache easier and stuff like that. And I was just thinking like, damn, you're soft.
Yeah.
I was thinking, yeah, this is an Akhitweet moment, because he'd be like, damn, like you're struggling with this when a lot of people are struggling with a lot worse.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you've got to always keep it in the forefront, and I feel like I have had some, like, since these conversations we've been having, I've had a couple of things that have kicked off a reaction in me that I felt disappointed at my reaction. Like, one of them was like, a lot of it was money. One of them I spent like, a significant amount of money on a bike that when it ended up being here, getting here, it was just so dangerous and so bad.
We talked about that.
Yeah, and that stressed me out. And then last night, I tried to transfer some of my savings from one account to another or something. I did it back in like over a week ago, and it was meant to take 3 days. And I realized yesterday, where has this not gone through? Like, where has this gone? And then I realized, because of what I spoke about a few weeks ago, where I had to cancel my card and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of got lost in the process. This money got lost in the process. And I was just like, it was such a huge sum of money that I was kind of like really stressed out about it. And once again, I was trying to remind myself, well, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, So what could I do in that moment? And yeah, alhamdulillah, it's sorted itself out this morning. But once again, in that moment, you're just like, oh, okay, it's really easy talking about it on the podcast. Let's actually try and do it.
Yeah. My main thing was like, okay, the good thing, I suppose, if I'm gonna like give myself a review of my reaction, is the good thing was I was aware of how, for example, entitled I was being. Like, I was acting like, in my head, I was like annoyed about it, and I'm like, wait, you're not entitled to have your hearing. Like, that was the first thing. The second thing is like, it just made me think like, wow, you really need to up your kind of gratitude game, But yeah, for sure.
And there's so many things like that, isn't there? So many things that even just beyond us, beyond our health and beyond our possessions and stuff that we just take for granted. Like,
I heard of a friend of mine, his nephew passed away, 1 year old.
Oh, subhanallah.
1 year old passed away, and imagine the mother gave birth, and the baby was in hospital for the whole year of its life, and she's just going in hospital every single day until finally it passed away. That's difficult, man, and it's much more difficult than if they're born still or whatever. It's like you're investing, isn't it? You're investing your time, effort, your emotional energy in this baby, only for it to pass away. And as much taqwa, etc., that you might have, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. But I thought in this episode we do a few emails and questions, because we just got a lot of them, man.
Yeah, let's do that, inshallah.
Yeah, and I know I got one email on my personal email, which was like asking me. I think this guy emailed me a few months ago asking me about Turkey, moving to Turkey. And now he emailed me again recently saying like, okay, khalas, I'm coming. Like, what area should I go to and stuff like that. So that's cool. But we also got another email around just a few questions around Turkey. So I thought I'd just answer that quickly, because it might be time sensitive.
Yep.
So let me see. So he said, okay, so I've been in Turkey quite a lot, alhamdulillah, but I haven't quite grasped the practice of the Muslims. For instance, what percentage of people do you think are Muslim? Do the Muslims pray, or are they more just culturally religious? What is their manhaj? So just to answer it quickly, what percentage of people are Muslim? I mean, I think Turkey is probably 90% Muslim. I mean, it depends actually, I guess, on the details, because you have Alawis. I think in Turkey is quite a few Alawis. I don't know what percentage, but I think most people wouldn't consider Alawis to be Muslim. And then you have Christians, but again, small amount. So I don't know. I'm just gonna. You can Wikipedia that, to be honest, but I reckon it's like 90% or something. Do the Muslims pray? Are they quite culturally religious? I mean, in that episode we discussed that, didn't we, bro? Like, what, at least, was it Pew Research, what they came to the conclusion on in terms of that. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? May Allah help us. And then, you know, when you say culturally religious, I mean, definitely, I think most, apart from the hardcore seculars in Turkey, most people are culturally religious in the sense where they identify as Muslim, and they do give, what's that word? They venerate, if you like, these days like Eid and like Ramadan and, you know, like this kind of stuff, the Prophet ﷺ. And it's almost like as well, someone's played a trick on them where something like reading Quran is above them, right? So I'm not good enough Muslim to like engage with the Quran or something like that. And my wife, when I was in Istanbul, like tourist area the other day, you know, people like kind of trying to, you know, pitch me on stuff as I'm walking down the street. And she noticed that if I say Assalamu alaikum to them, straight away they stop the whole selling thing and they're like, wa alaikum salam, you know, like proper respect thing. And it's like, what's the word? Disarmed them.
Yeah.
But that might be a good representation of how they, you know, see these things. Like, okay, said salam, like now it has to have to be all serious and stuff. So yeah, that does seem quite common. But and then I think you just have areas. Different areas will be the, you know, the different thing. What is their manhaj? I think their manhaj is just like most Muslims. Like most Muslims, they pray or they don't pray. They believe in Allah, the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ, and they love the Prophet ﷺ, and they don't know too much more than that. I think that's kind of their manhaj, to be honest, if you're asking me. Obviously, the actual government body and the imams and stuff like that will have a specific leaning. But yeah, I don't really know too much more than that. Yeah.
A lot of Muslims in Muslim countries tend to just follow what is, you know, predominantly what the leaders of those communities are, like the imams of those masajid, etc. Like I can only speak of Morocco as an example, but like Morocco, they have imams out on TV all the time, leading prayers all the time, and they pray in a very strict Maliki madhab way, and that's how the majority of people, you know, laymen follow, because it's easy for them to do that.
Of course, yeah. But I think what happens is people will pray, for example, here they pray the Hanafi way, but they don't know who Abu Hanifa is, for example.
Maybe,
that might very much be the case. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Definitely there's obviously Sufi leaning here, everyone knows that. But, you know, some people would say, oh, Ash'ari, this and that. I mean, most people don't know what Ash'ari is in the first place, but secondly, yeah, the average person doesn't know about the details of Aqidah, I would say. So it's more about some of these just like Sufi traditions, I suppose. It kind of is there, but not so much in your face that much. I mean, it depends. I think some people are more sensitive to this stuff than others. Myself, because I've been to a few different countries, Muslim countries, I'm just like, look, like, it is what it is kind of thing.
It exists. The stuff that exists there exists in every Muslim country, really.
Then he said Turkey is a bit wide, so maybe more specifically, what's your general vibe or your locality where you visited? I mean, I've pretty much only been Istanbul. I've been to Bursa. I've been to the southwest, long time ago, and it's well known. You know, you can even look at the map of voting. And the ones who vote for the hardcore secular party, you're going to know that's those areas where people feel very strongly about that. And then you're going to find areas which are very much the AKP party, like the Erdogan's party, which is more the religious conservative kind of thing. And then you have all, you know, in between. I guess you have areas that are sometimes this, sometimes that. But then you have other parties, I suppose, that I don't know about. But I do know that Izmir, which is I think it's like the third biggest city, is like heavily secular. It's known for that. And apparently they even have a bit of a like independence movement or something, like they don't want to be part of Turkey or something. So that's that. But I've mostly been in Istanbul, and it's good. And again, Istanbul is a city of like 20 million people. So it depends where you go and what you'll find. Like the the tourist area is very much quite different to other areas and stuff like that. I heard one brother who made hijrah to Istanbul. He said it's about 50% Muslim, and of that is a mix of Sufi Takfiri and about 20% just regular Sunni.
So is he saying of the 50% that are Muslim, and then he's gone off?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, he's not saying. I thought he was saying there's 50% Muslim and the other 50% are all of this. I was like, oh, that's a big statement. There's the statistics on Wikipedia saying that 89% of the country is Muslim, or at least identifies as Muslim.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit less than other Muslim countries, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess that includes the Alawis, right?
Yeah, I think it does.
Because I think southeast is a lot of Alawis.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, I don't know what to say about this. It's definitely not 50% Muslim here in Istanbul. Definitely not 50%. Definitely more than that. And then, I mean, what the hell is this? Oh, it's 39% Takfiri specifically.
It's hard to judge, though.
I don't know about that stuff. I'm not into that stuff.
I think it's hard to visit a country and really narrow that down. You can only do that if you knew 1,000 people quite well, and you knew what each and every one of them is about. Yeah. I've got friends that I've known for years now, and I'm only just finding things that we don't agree on. Things that like you wouldn't have established unless we really narrowed down a particular topic. That have not caused debates among us, but it's just like, oh, I've known you for like 5 years, and we just haven't. We never got around to speaking about this specific matter, and I'm surprised, we don't agree on this. But it just goes to show, Yanni. It just goes to show it takes a while to really understand someone. Well,
it depends what vibe you're on as well, bro. Like, I would say definitely myself, for example, back in the day, I would have been much more quick to discover those kind of differences, much more, into confrontation. Now, like, there's like one kind of group or sect or whatever that I actually really get bothered with. But even then, I'm like, look, I'm going to completely avoid those kind of topics that I disagree with them on. And I'm happy to be like full brothers with these guys, friends. If we have other stuff in common, that's good, right? So I mean, the brother who sent this, I would say if you've got that mentality, like just don't even come here. I would, if you want my advice, Yanni, just throw that stuff out the window. Just come. Everyone's Muslim. Everyone's your brother. Just be a good citizen and do your ibadah the way you know best, and don't meet people thinking, oh, damn it, I can't tell if this guy's Takfiri or like Wahhabi or like Sufi or like, no, I'm really not into that stuff. So
yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends on what you're about, isn't it? It's what you bring to the table that kind of forms those relationships. Because if you do come into an area in a bit of a confrontational flex, I mean, I'm not saying don't have those conversations. I think those conversations can be had, and and then you establish what everyone's on. If they're receptive, they're receptive. If they're not, then that's it. And if they want to bring it up again in the future, that's up to them. But to constantly be at it, you're not going to have friends with anybody.
Yeah.
And this is it. I mean, it comes with age and maturity, I suppose, and it comes with a bit more experience of meeting people and understanding. Sure. Differences aren't always established because of people's conscious decisions, but a lot of it is because of their environment, what they've been taught and what they've grown up with. And we're always learning. There's people that make very drastic changes quite late into their sort of career as Muslims, so to speak. So you just have to... Yeah.
Actually, I was just reminded of... a year ago or something, someone sent me a book Sheikh Haytham wrote, and it just the topic alone speaks volumes. I think it's an interesting approach. The book is about the beliefs that all Muslims agree on, like the aqidah that everyone believes.
Yeah,
and that's a completely different approach than the other types of books we have out there where it's like, okay, these are wrong in that thing, or sometimes you have a whole like mini booklet just refuting people and stuff, which doesn't have no place, but it's like we also very, very much have a place for unity. And actually that book had a little like foreword by different scholars from all around the world, you know, and again, just to emphasize that whole unity point. So I thought that was a very nice, nice thought, nice approach. It's just a little short book and stuff.
I had one. So that's why I was looking. I had something similar, but I just can't see it. And I know it's behind me. I just don't want to get up.
For those of you that can't see the video, Akhitweet's currently lost in his library.
My library, my half full bookshelf. Look at that. Well, books at the top, books at the bottom, and everything else is just decoration. I've got loads of books underneath me here, but that's about it. I just don't know where everything is because my wife's books and my books are all in one place. Yeah, bro. Is there any more to that question?
No. I don't want to assume anything from what he's saying, but if he wants advice, I would say that. Go ahead, bro. What's the next?
Oh, curious.
Yes, the kitten. Yes.
Curious. Okay, let me get it up. Oh God, 9th of May.
Go on, bro. What's curious in Arabic? Because I sure don't know.
Curious. No idea. No, don't know. Never had to use it. You don't know it?
No.
Oh, I was waiting for you to reveal.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Okay. This question is for me. Oh God, I'm already nervous. This question is for brother Akhitweet. I remember following you many years ago, and I should have probably read this before I read it out, but here we go. Years ago, when you used to post spoken word poetry, which I found to be very powerful. And I am wondering why this content was deleted and if you plan to release any more poetry? Question mark. One that I remember was, I'm not going to start reading out what they've quoted one, I think. And then it ends with, I hope this doesn't come off as stalkerish, as this piece was very impactful, which is why I still remember it somehow. And it had a catchy melody. But anyways, Jazakallah khair to both of you brothers for this amazing podcast. Poetry. I think with poetry and that kind of stuff, I am not a consumer of that content, so I feel a bit weird producing it. You know, I when people produce that stuff, even though some of it may resonate with me if it's done in a particular way, I might enjoy it if it's very stripped down, just a bit clever, a bit smart, a bit, not. I want the words to be the focus, essentially, not some melody or something in the background, right? I like the intelligence that can come with it. But because I don't necessarily consume a lot of that, I don't really want to be known for that. I don't want to become that, and I don't like being known for that kind of stuff. So I think I have one video on YouTube at the moment. It's an old one that we did, and I think it was just the message was a bit more meaningful, which is why I kept it on there. But other than that, I've got loads of. I say I've got loads. I've got quite a few on my notes on my phone, but I've never really thought about. I don't know. I just don't see a huge amount of benefit. I don't see what you can pull out of that of benefit, because I just feel like in the long run, stuff like that can just take you away from more important things that you could do to increase your iman and increase your spirituality. Obviously, we all do things that are kind of mubah or have no real benefit or negative, of course, but I link it so closely with deen that I'm just like, well, there's other things in deen that I could do, like this podcast, for example. I feel like we benefit people a lot more having these discussions than me writing some poems or something. I feel like it's just, but you never know, I might have a change of heart. But at the moment,
bro, those few that you put out were really good, considering it's not like you'd been into it for like years or anything. So that was good. But how do you see it in relation to the visual stuff you put out?
Yeah, I suppose that's a good point. I suppose, yeah, to be fair, you're right. I think if you think about it from that context, then that is just like an audio, sort of the other side of the coin of the visual stuff that I do.
Yeah.
I think it's more to do with me. Okay, I think I have this, for a long time I've had this sort of, not love-hate, but like, I don't love it, but like maybe like-hate relationship with putting myself out there.
Yeah.
Right. I don't mind text. I don't mind tweeting. I don't mind that. That's a body of text. That's fine. And like I said, the graphic design stuff or the messages that I can sort of weave into a piece of art, I like that because it takes the focus away from me.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there's a clip, an audio thing, or a message that just makes that I really want to get out there that maybe is easier to just do on a quick video. I've done a few of those recently, but it's not something I'm looking to do, permanently. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. And I think, actually, I'll be honest, I know a lot of people in the field, a lot of people that put themselves out there quite a bit. And, I speak to them in private. I speak to them, as friends, not necessarily as somebody in a platform. And sometimes the stories they tell me and the stuff that they have to go through and the fitna that they have to deal with, I don't really want any of that in my life. And it's going back to that gratitude thing. Like, alhamdulillah for what I have now. I enjoy what I'm doing now, and I'm not really chasing anything more than that.
If we started doing like what Freshly Grounded did with like live events and stuff, then you might feel a bit. I feel like you'd want to back away from the podcast a bit, even.
No, do you know what? Once again, like if we were ever to get to the stage where we did something live or whatever, I would like to involve the listeners as much as possible and make it more about everyone as opposed to just us two. Yeah. I'd find it really weird if, like, even this question kind of weirds me out a bit. No offense to the person asking it, but like, if we went on stage and people started asking us questions about our lives, I'd be a bit like, this isn't about us. This is about us altogether, Don't ask me about, my personal life. We can speak about something together, have a bit of a discussion together and benefit together about anything. But once again, we often do speak about our personal lives on this podcast. And I think that's just natural because it's just me and you talking to each other, isn't it? But
yeah. And that's why we're always like, we don't just say send us your questions, we always say send us your suggestions, your feedback, your comments as well.
But I think that's the danger, bro, because I think sometimes we sleepwalk into that without realizing. Like you can, I think what I've realized is like a couple of people have bumped into us on the streets or whatever, and some people, sometimes you sleepwalk into this sort of public figure thing without realizing. And maybe I was more so that before than I am now, but still, it's something you have to be conscious of because no matter how much you push Mind Heist and that's what you want the focus to be, it is still just me and you, and it is still people can just look at us in a particular way and assume a lot about our lives and how we position ourselves and what we're about, etc. So it's just having that awareness, I think, is important, and not being tempted or seduced into sort of a false sense of like superiority or something like that. I think that can also happen.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Okay. Anyway, let me just what episode 119?
Yeah. Okay, going back to the email, we've got this comment which was someone was sharing comments about. Damn, this is long. It's a comment about the Black Lives Matter episode we did such a while ago.
Bro, that episode is done. Like, it's done. It's out.
Yeah. I could basically they shared a few posts from somebody on from Facebook, right? And I feel like this person is African American, and they're saying stuff like, I see tribalism from Afro-American Muslims as much as I see from Arabs and Desis. And then I don't know, man, it's a lot to read, and I feel like we can delay it.
Yeah, we can have a look at it together individually and then have a look at another episode. I think if something like that takes a long time to unpack, and also to understand perspectives that we won't necessarily be able to resonate with. Like, anyway, ultimately it's quite a foreign area of us to speak about.
I'd be happy to share it. It's just I don't want to take over the whole episode with it today, at least. So I'll go instead to a YouTube comment which said, it was on episode 105 where we talked about the climate change Dajjal agenda. Remember that? I feel like acquiring a lot of general knowledge you think may be useful from TED Talks or researching various things is just an excuse to procrastinate, because really it's just useless knowledge that you don't really need to know.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I remember this comment. And it got 2 thumbs up. Right. Shall I give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Let's find out.
Depends.
I feel like acquiring a lot of general knowledge. Yeah, maybe. Do you know what? We all procrastinate. I just like to procrastinate in a particular way. This is it. Like, we all do things to entertain us, and for me, although maybe a majority of that stuff's entertainment, I just find it interesting. You know, if I see a topic and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting, I'd like to know more about that, I'll click on it, and it just, and no matter what it is, you know, and I think that's a lot healthier than just staying in ignorance about everything, because at the end of the day, this is my perspective anyway, but stuff like that can spur conversation, can help you, you know, get to know more people, network better. If you have general knowledge about, I mean, it's a nice characteristic to have. Broad general knowledge is a decent characteristic to have in your arsenal. Sometimes, you know, I hate to say it, but sometimes, you know, you meet people and they are very they're not interested in anything apart from what they're interested in. So you can't have a conversation about anything other than what they care about. Let's take a random example. Let's take, hypothetically,
football,
the gym. Football or working out at the gym, whatever. You can't speak about anything else because they don't know about anything else, and they're not interested in anything else. So it's really difficult to sort of go beyond that and have an elevated conversation or bring anything new to the table. And you know, I think having general knowledge is good as Muslims anyway, to be aware of what the world is around you. But also, like, I mean, look at Mind Heist, bro. Like, we can speak about anything, and you could bring up something I've never seen before, and I'll be genuinely interested in that. For example, if you look at addiction, the thing about addiction before, and last episode, and we spoke about the books, the research, the studies. That could be a TED Talk video that you just won't click on because you're like, oh, I'm wasting my time. But actually, in a roundabout way, it could benefit you, it could benefit the community, it could benefit anybody, you know. There's so many times you'll be in a work meeting or in even a fi sabilillah meeting, so to speak. You're working on a project or something. You haven't got any fresh ideas because you can't bring anything to the table because you haven't been out there to see anything else. But, you know, I've had a work meeting today, and I'm obviously quite different from every one of my colleagues, but I'll bring fresh things to the table all the time because I'm exposed to so many fresh things. I'm exposed to different things and different environments and different, you know, topics. And so, yeah, it's just about being a colourful character, so to speak, and having a lot of interests and stuff to sort of spice up conversations or work or whatever. I don't know. That's my perspective. What about you?
I think general knowledge is very good, and at the same time, it's overrated. So it's good because of all the reasons you mentioned. And it just gives you the ability to know of different paths you can go down in the first place, right? And I do think, like, part of the reason maybe people enjoyed the podcast is because we know little bits about a lot of topics. Now, it's overrated because, you know, it makes me think of these like game shows, like quiz shows, where it's like, oh, what year was Shakespeare born and this and that. That is, I feel, elevating general knowledge to a place that it shouldn't be in. Having said that, yes, if when you're entertaining yourself, that includes like watching a documentary or TED Talk, that's definitely good. Like that's a good way to spend your time compared to many other things. However, the only area to have like some rules in place, I think, is when you're watching that TED Talk, don't label that time as study. You know, don't label that as, okay, now I'm educated on this topic. You know what I mean? It's purely, it's edutainment, and it's like you're benefiting yourself slightly, you're expanding your horizon while enjoying yourself, and it allows you to, if you want, study that whatever topic it is you've discovered, right? I think as long as you don't consider that is like study time and it's taking away from actual study, then it's completely good. Like, it's fine. And you know what? I think people, for example, the other day I was speaking to someone about American politics and the economy. It's like, why would I know anything about that? Why should I know anything about that? How do I know enough about that to at least have a conversation on it? I think it's literally from this one podcast that I listen to, and I don't even listen to it every week. I listen to it, I don't know, like once a month or something. But that was enough over time to give me a general understanding. So it also doesn't mean I'm spending hours like researching or looking into this stuff in order to just be able to like chit chat about it.
No, of course. No, of course. I mean, you know what? I'll be honest. Like, it was that kind of, I won't call it procrastination, but that curiosity that got me into practicing in the first place. Because I remember, like, my first sort of exposure to really delving into the deen was literally, I was at college, and I remember it was either a class I had or I had a break. I had like a break, lunch break, whatever, and I went to the computer rooms and I remember just going on Wikipedia and I started looking up prophets because I was really curious about, you know, the stories of the prophets, etc. And I know it's Wikipedia, but that's where I started. And I remember just reading, I just couldn't stop reading. I was really interested. And then the comparative religion element of like, okay, the Christians say this about Noah and the Muslims say this about... And then it got me into this rabbit hole where there was just loads of things to... You know, one thing led to another because, you know, you read one story of a prophet and then it mentions another one and you're like, oh, I want to click on that one and see where that goes. And then suddenly, you know, I was just hooked about this topic and it just one thing led to another. And then that's how the curiosity sparked. But I think what I was going to say is, as a parent, I think general knowledge is really beneficial because it's a really big impact, if your child was to ask you something about anything really, and you're not just like, oh, I don't know. You have some idea about it that you can refer your child to something more or something better if he's interested in that field. I think kids pick up on their parents' intelligence quite quickly, and I think it links to their respect they have because ultimately they're going to be surrounded by other adults in schools or in their lives, etc. So if they can view you as a parent as someone who's quite grounded and has quite good general knowledge about a lot of things, then they can always trust to ask you questions and stuff instead of bypassing you completely, saying, oh, dad won't even know about that, so there's no point even talking to him about it. You know what I mean? So
I guess you can like keep up to date on what's going on, you know.
Definitely. And you know, I would always rather my son asks me first something than bypasses me, just so I can get a better understanding of what he's interested in and where how his mind works and stuff. So ultimately I want to be able to have those conversations with my kids. So inshallah, that's one other benefit. Right, have I got another one for you? Oh, I think these are quite old. This is really long, but I don't know what it means. Oh, should I just read it out? Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I live in the Netherlands. I came across Mind Heist a couple of months ago. So this was sent in November.
Right.
A couple of months ago when the pandemic started. I saw a lot of interesting topics. So 3-4 months in, I thought, let me see what these guys look like, ? I went on YouTube and saw you guys' faces and thought, let me guess which face belongs to which voice. And I guessed the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's strange, isn't it? When listening to you guys on some juicy topics, I thought maybe a couple 100,000 people are listening. Anyways, I was wondering, can you get Smarter Jannah on the podcast? He seems to be someone quite informed about the political issues that we as Muslims are facing, whether it be on the West or the Middle East. Unfortunately, he only makes short videos. I think he makes longer ones now. That would be much appreciated. They're suggesting things for their episode 100 now.
Okay.
That would be much appreciated for episode 100. Only thing I would advise you guys is if there is a topic that you both agree is quite complex, get someone on the podcast that would have more knowledge and in depth that is particular, in that particular subject, that would make an episode more enjoyable and quote juicy. Like when you guys talked about Khabib, maybe it would have been nicer if you invited Firas Zahabi, who might have disagreed. Maybe I'm just expecting more of you guys than I should. Otherwise, you guys are doing great work, mashallah, and may Allah bless you for your efforts and guide us all to the straight path, inshallah.
Ameen.
Ameen.
Netherlands.
Let me just
yeah, bro, hook us up with Smarter Jannah with Zishan. Zishan.
I know people that know him quite well. I've never really spoken to him myself, but yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to think what we would talk about other than what we already talk about every single episode.
You know what?
Although
Bro? He's into like conspiracy theories, so you can debate him. I'll be taking his side on this episode.
14-year-old me would have loved all of that. Not 14-year-old, maybe a bit older, maybe 17 or 18.
I was going to say, when you're like looking into, you said you're looking into the prophets and this and that. I thought you were going to say, next thing I knew it, I was watching The Arrivals.
Bro, yeah, I was. I used to watch that stuff because my uncle used to send me stuff like that.
Your uncle,
it made me so scared of the world.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's fun, man. It just shows that is procrastination, bro.
Yes. Yeah.
That's, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, there's some benefits to be had, but you can't verify anything that's said because it's just some anonymous guy making links between hadith and world events, you know. Yeah. God, it used to make you think that the world is going to explode like in next week.
Yeah.
Inshallah we'll have a look. Once again, we're always apprehensive about guests and if it's going to complement us a lot, etc. We're not a podcast that necessarily relies heavily on guests, alhamdulillah. But we'll see. We were looking into doing a bit more, bringing more people on just to, discuss new things on the horizon. But we shall see. Anyway, if you want somebody on the show, you tell them to contact us.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go chasing people. Come on, just tag Mind Heist in their comments or whatever.
Yeah, I will be contacting Mufti, but it's true, bro. Like that is one area where I guess we could do some help because, if you want to invite someone, you've got to kind of craft the message in a way that's gonna bring them in, isn't it? Because we don't have 100,000 views per episode, so.
Probably have 100,000 views per all episodes. I haven't looked. No. Bro, I think for a lot of guests we have to be prepared as well. Like Mufti, for example, if we're going to have Mufti on, like we're going to have only a set amount of time.
Bro, you're going to come with your glasses on.
Bro, I'll have my glasses on. I might wear a thobe. And I'll need to have like certain topics or questions that I really want to sort of ask. Because you got to remember, someone like Mufti, I listen to him like literally daily. So I want to bring something that I'm going to benefit from the conversation more than Mind Heist listeners because, hey, you guys can ask your questions in the live chat on his live stream. This is my moment. No, but other than that, we've had Faisal on before, we've had Sharif on before, and for those brothers, we're interested in the topic that they're about, so we want to ask them stuff about that. And I think that's the same thing. Like, I'd be interested to speak to people. Doesn't have to be someone famous or whatever. That's another thing. Like, I'm not really fussed about that because it's not about the traffic they're going to bring us or whatever. No. I'm more interested in what I'm going to learn from that individual, what they can share with us. That's more interesting. Yeah. So we'll see, inshallah.
Yeah, I think what people want. This is what I, as a listener of different podcasts or whatever, I might like think of one whatever YouTuber and think, the way this guy thinks, I would like him to question this other guy, because I feel like those two things coming together would get a different outcome, For example, like Dili from Five Pillars, his interview, I listened to it recently with Muhammad Hijab. The types of questions he asked Muhammad Hijab, other people wouldn't ask, and so that's what made that specific interview a nice moment, So maybe that's why he's suggesting that. It's like, okay, if these guys were talking to this guy, the sparks would fly, Okay, let's see. We got this message, right? This is an alien-related email. Okay. Modern aliens resemble jinn. Aliens teleport, right? Apparently they teleport, and then they said jinn can travel at the speed of light. See Quran 27:39. Aliens have an aura of electricity, and jinn are made of smokeless fire, which equals electricity somehow. Not sure about that one. Telepathy, is that how you say it? Telepathy? Mm-hmm. Telepathy / mind control equals waswasa, whisperings of shaitan. See attachment pic.
Oh no.
Okay. Let me
it's
see.
I found it in my back garden.
So what? Say it again.
I was going to say, it's a picture of an alien I've had in my back garden.
No, he's got an attachment which is like a little table which shows the similarities between aliens and jinn. I mean, it's reaching, of course, but who knows? For example, like this one. This is the type of thing. Yeah, if you send me straight away, I'm gonna like discredit you. I'm afraid, because when you say what was it? Aliens have an aura of electricity. Okay, where's your sources for that? Firstly, like, why are we just assuming we know that they have an aura of electricity? Then they say, okay, and jinn, they're made from smokeless fire, which is literally a spark of electricity. How is smokeless fire a spark of electricity? So you kind of lost me at that point, I'm afraid. I'm not saying you're all wrong completely, but you know. These kind of things make me disbelieve. It says aliens can shapeshift. Apparently, see, you don't need no references for this stuff. You just say it and it is, yeah. Yeah,
but all aliens can do all things. I mean, sci-fi is endless, really.
Well, yeah, in your imagination, yeah. Then they say Satan comes in many abnormal human animal forms in the life of the Prophet ﷺ and Jesus. I mean, yes, it's fair enough. I think, look, for me, there's almost, at least, no doubt that a lot of, or some of the alien occurrences can be explained by jinn, right? Because, the kuffar, they will obviously be seeing different things. It's not just aliens as well. It's like Bigfoot or it's Loch Ness Monster or whatever it is, right? Because they might not believe in jinn, therefore they come up with other explanations. And it might just be jinn in the end. And we do believe in jinn, and we know like they're very real and this and that. So I would say that's true, but it's just like all aliens, and do aliens even exist?
Yeah. I think for myself, like these kind of, I don't want to call them fringe topics. They're not fringe topics, but they're part of the parcel of our deen.
Bro, you love this topic.
I do like it, but in a particular way. Like I see it as a lens. I use these things as a lens to view the world, right? So at the moment we've got the pushing and there is no doubt an agenda of officially recognizing UFOs and unidentified, all these whatever, right? And there's something going on there, okay? So a particular type of Muslim could see that and then just like start shaking, their faith gets shaken, they don't understand what's going on, etc. For me, it's like, okay, that could be jinns, there you go, book closed. Like that's it for me. Do you understand what I mean? Like it allows me to filter what's thrown at us on a daily, and the same thing with like these theories I have in my head about evolution, or specifically when they try and focus human evolution and all this other stuff that might counteract what the Quran and Sunnah teach. But if you can come up with even one possibility, let alone 100 possibilities of how that aligns with the Quran and Sunnah, then that's it, because it could be any of those, and then you just move on. It's not something where someone says this is fact, hardcore fact, and this is the truth, and you have to accept it. There is a lot of flexibility of situations and circumstances that could explain why scientists are finding particular things and the Quran and Sunnah say a particular thing, right? And if you can make a hypothetical sort of link there, maybe this and this and this, then there you go. You haven't got a crisis of faith anymore. There's a million reasons why this and that can happen. Obviously, science always changes and stuff, so the stronger person could just disregard that completely and carry on doing what they're doing. But for me, I just find it interesting looking into that. Like if I'm exposed to that sort of stuff, just having a bit of a sort of mental experiment about, what it could mean and what that theory could entail. So sometimes you come across that stuff, or sometimes it is an iman booster. Like, sometimes I come across something in that kind of sphere in my procrastination, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. For example, I know Muhammad Hijab shares certain YouTube videos. I don't know who makes the videos. It's not him. Well, it's not his voice at least, but like archaeological findings linked to things that the Quran and Sunnah speaks about. And one of them was like there was one recently about Babylon, and it was about Harut and Marut came. You're probably smiling, maybe you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I was gonna click, bro. I'm gonna click, inshallah.
It's quite interesting. I'll give you a short preview, but it mentions about, obviously in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the angels Harut and Marut came to test the people of Babylon by teaching them magic. Okay, I can't remember which angel it was. It might be Harut, it might be Marut, but let's just say hypothetically it's Marut. Then there was archaeological evidence that the Babylonians worshipped someone with a similar sounding name to Marut. It was like a Babylonianized version of that name, and maybe Marut is the Arabized version of that name, just like we have Isa and Jesus or whatever, etc. But there was a lot of alignments there, like he taught people magic, etc. He came in this particular form. He believed in another higher being above him, yet people still worshipped him. These kind of things. Another one that he released maybe a bit before that was about, once again, Babylon, but it was also about what they worshipped. So they have these symbols that they showed you the archaeological evidences, findings of these symbols, that they worshipped the sun, moon, and the stars, but quite separately. And then it was a nice parallel to how Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was searching for who Allah was, he went and thought, okay, the stars, no. The sun, no. The moon, no. And I was like, okay, why did he pick those three? Because he could have picked anything else. He could have picked the ocean. He could have picked, do you know what I mean? But then he was like, oh, actually, there's a correlation here, because the Babylonians of that time, that's what they worshipped. Yeah. You wouldn't know that unless you saw the archaeological evidence for that. So for me,
that's a bit of a miracle. Wow.
Yeah, for me, it's like, oh, that's really fascinating. It shows that there's a lot more to these stories in the Quran than what we know, and sometimes you'll find things that complement that and actually increase your sort of I wouldn't say increase your belief, because we should believe it anyway, but it's just, it allows you to visualize what society would have been like, you know, something like that. For example, it makes me think, oh, Ibrahim wasn't thinking about this in a isolated context. He was thinking about this within a society that believed certain things, and that's why the Quran references that society's beliefs, you know.
Makes it a bit more real, as well. Yeah,
it grounds you.
Bro, this is actually interesting. The guy sent that little table thing I was referring to. It's a screenshot taken from the book, and him or she has been kind enough to send us the PDF, Islam and Futurology. Okay, now big red flag with this is there's no author, there's no name, and there's no background of the author. So, you know, something that I remember is, like, in Islam, the person who is telling you the information is important, as well as what is being said, right? That's why the Prophet ﷺ was sent in the first place. Otherwise, Allah just send the message down, or the angels just drop the message down. But the fact that the Prophet ﷺ came and established himself as a trustworthy person, then he said, okay, this is my claim, this is my message. That's important, right? But here there's no author, right? But he's got these topics, okay? What are the topics? Are AI robots living beings? Has the Quran challenge of creating a fly been met? Can technology, the Neuralink, let people see the unseen? And are dreams part of the unseen any longer? So, yeah, like, for example, yeah, which one was I looking at? No, it wasn't that. Jinn and electricity. Oh yeah, this thing, yeah. So technology is produced which resemble the jinn concept. It says lights, Morse code. It says Morse code, basically, there's a hadith apparently where the Prophet ﷺ said that the devil clucks. And they're saying that resembles the Morse code sound. So the devil clucks in the ear of the fortune teller. So they're saying, like, Morse code is like shaitan or something. Barcodes. And they're saying barcodes are simply talismans.
You've lost me at barcodes, but carry on.
You know what a talisman is?
No, I know. It's just
there's a whole conspiracy
behind barcodes. And anyway, go on.
Yeah. Numbers in a box which magicians used to locate its wearer wherever they were in the world. And then they're saying that radios, telephones, televisions are crystal balls of magicians which show visions from far away. God damn. We went far already. So it says modern aliens in sci-fi most resemble the jinn concept today. So they're saying that barcodes are talismans. Damn.
I am curious. You know, you can't help but be curious as to what is going on with the whole UFO thing, because obviously if they're coming out with it, whatever, what does that mean? What is it, etc.
But this is not even about aliens. This is about magic and barcodes.
Yeah, but it's all linked.
It is, especially in the book, they are linking it. But for me, just to remove the alien thing, because we don't even know if that's real. We do know magic is real. We know jinn is real.
Ultimately,
Barcodes are real.
when I say alien, I mean anything other than humans. It doesn't even have to be extraterrestrial, but even if it did, it doesn't make much of a difference to me.
Yeah.
You know. But you know, it's going to be something that grows as, you know, the next 5-10 years, bro. It's going to be something that, this is the start of a wave of a new era, I suppose, in that kind of discussion. I mean, unless it comes out and they're like, oh, we forgot there's this secret department that was making these ships and we completely forgot about it. Yeah. This is what they're called. Here's a ship up close. Oh, look, it's floating.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only way around it. Other than that, what else are they going to say?
I think that there's still going to be many things unexplained, right? Like, you know, the whole, for example, building the pyramids thing. The whole thing of people could not possibly have moved bricks that big.
Well, or say,
apparently what is it? Is it the ratio or the angle at which the pyramid is angled up is exactly identical between the ones in Egypt and the ones in South America? Like how could that be?
But you know what? This is the thing, right? We get to that point and we look at that through a modern lens, or the lens of the you know, scientists that look at things quite objectively and what they can see today. And then we just get all scared and stuff. And then in the next day, you're reading surah in the Quran about Sulaiman alayhi salam and about jinns that were able to do this and that, and about all these incredible things that happened in the past. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only mentions a few prophets to us, right? There's countless more prophets that may have been blessed with similar abilities or for their nation and their people at a particular time to perform miracles to then guide. We might not know about them. You know, there's miracles of prophets, and there's prophets themselves in the Quran that aren't in the Bible, that aren't in the Torah. So for them, they're probably thinking the same thing. You know, Christians and Jews look at, I don't know, Median Saleh, for example, and think, oh, that's a crazy miracle. We don't have any of that. You know?
You mentioned Sulaiman though. So for example, if the jinn that were under the authority of Sulaiman were able to bring the throne of Meliket Seba, then why wouldn't they be able to bring a block and build a pyramid? Like,
or either on their own or just someone else. I'm not saying anyone comparable to Sulaiman, because obviously
someone more on the evil side who's working with jinn.
Or anything. What I'm trying to say, ultimately, what my message is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions supernatural, you know, maybe I don't know if supernatural is the right word, but let's just say supernatural things done by both, you know, people, you know, in his stead that follow the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and people that are not, that are enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, even like the magicians, for example, that Fir'aun had set forth, and Fir'aun went to get all these magicians from their magic was something that was, if you look at the tafsir of it, it's actually quite quote unquote impressive magic, right? It's not something that you even see in this day and age. So and jinns, once again, they have the ability to do certain things. What's to say that they don't? They either do it for themselves, they do it for each other, or they do it for someone else. You know, where does the story of the genie in the bottle comes from? You do something for the jinn does something for you. You know, it might be folk tales, but actually, we have what I like to call evidences in the Quran that supernatural things do happen. So, I don't think it should.
If you do human sacrifice, you get all kinds of powers.
Bro, I remember once when I first started practicing, I went into the masjid. I don't know who put this book in there, bro, but there was some book about jinns and shayateen and stuff. And I was just reading it, and it seemed like a Islamic book. And then, like, as I got further into it, I was like, this book is, like, teaching me magic. You know? And then one of the chapters at the end was like, if you want to see shaitan, this is what you do. Oh. And like, it was framed in like a, this is what you do, so don't do it kind of thing.
Okay.
And I was just like,
curiosity killed.
But back then, I didn't know anything about the deen, so I just thought this was general knowledge, you know. Yeah. And now looking back, I don't know what that book was or where it is now, and if I could ever find it again. But looking back now, I'm like, what was that book doing there?
Yeah, man.
Because we a lot of the books you give in, you have to give them in first to get stamped, and then they get put in the library. But sometimes people just bring books in and stick them without anybody
especially
knowing.
Back in the day, yeah.
Anyway, bro, I have to wrap up shortly. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. As far as I'm concerned, bro, all this stuff, it's interesting for my own curiosity and entertainment. But I always remember, Nu'man Ali Khan, when he was doing the tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf, he said in Surah Al-Kahf, the whole ayah, سَيَقُولُونَ ثَلَاثَةٌ رَابِعُهُمْ كَلْبُهُم وَيَقُولُونَ. So people debating over how many people there were, that went to the cave. And then Allah says, قل ربي say, قل ربي أعلم بعدتهم ما يعلمهم إلا قليل فلا تماري فيهم إلا مراء ظاهرا ولا تستفتي فيهم منهم أحدا. Basically, that's not the point, like how many people were going. So I always remember that point, and that's what this is like. Literally, if this stuff was important to the details of, we would know the details extremely clearly, but we don't. So although, for example, the world might be run by people who use the jinns for this and that, us knowing the details, that is not what is ultimately going to help us against them. It's going to be the stuff that we were given in a very black and white, clear way, like salah, like adhkar, like this and that. That's what I think, anyway.
No, definitely, bro.
Alhamdulillah bil alameen. Okay, go to mindheistpodcast.com for your comments, your suggestions, your feedback, your guessing whose voice matches with whose face. And if you're interested in increasing your confidence, your communication, your impact, go to muslimmastery.com/mind. Again, link is below. And yeah, we'll sign off with that. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, shadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Bro, when am I gonna have something different in my background? A little other thing.
I'll get on it, bro. I'm going to Scotland in 2 weeks.
Oh,
I forgot to mention that. I'll talk about it next time. All right.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.